Are you fed up with dealing with people who always seem to be against you? Do you wish you had better tools to handle these tough interactions with confidence and calm? You're in the right place. In this guide, we're going to explore 15 smart ways to deal with people who challenge you. Inspired by practical wisdom and effective techniques, these strategies will help you stay strong and composed, no matter what. We'll cover everything from setting clear boundaries to finding common ground. Each tip is designed to help you manage difficult situations and improve your relationships. By the end of this journey, you'll feel more empowered and ready to handle any challenge with grace. So, are you ready to transform your interactions and build a stronger, more resilient you? Let's dive into these 15 smart strategies and start making positive changes in your life today. Join me on this path to empowerment and discover how you can thrive even when faced with opposition. Let's start. 1. Maintaining inner peace. One of the main ideas in Stoic philosophy is the importance of keeping your inner peace. This idea is especially helpful when you have to deal with difficult people. In life, we often meet individuals who test our patience and try to upset us. These difficult people can be anyone: co-workers, friends, family members, or even strangers. Their actions can disturb our mental calm if we let them. However, according to Stoicism, we have control over our own tranquility. Staying calm and composed, no matter how others behave, is a skill that we can learn and develop. Let's explore how to keep your inner peace when faced with challenging individuals, using the wisdom of Stoicism. Stoicism is a philosophy that started in ancient Greece and was later developed in Rome. It teaches that virtue, reason, and self-control are the keys to true happiness. One of its basic ideas is the dichotomy of control, a concept explained by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." Knowing the difference between what we can and cannot control is crucial when dealing with difficult people. A key insight from Stoicism is that it is not the events themselves that upset us, but our judgments about them. This idea means that difficult people can only disturb our peace if we let them. It's our perception of their behavior, not the behavior itself, that causes our distress. By changing how we see things, we can keep our inner tranquility. For example, think about a co-worker who always criticizes your work. Instead of seeing their criticism as a personal attack, a Stoic would view it as a chance to practice patience and humility. The co-worker's words are just sounds. It's your interpretation of those words that gives them power over your emotions. By changing your perception, you can stay calm and composed. Speaking of perception, one practical way to maintain your inner peace is to remind yourself of what you can control. You can control your thoughts, feelings, and actions, but you cannot control what others say or do. When you face a difficult person, focus on how you respond rather than trying to change their behavior. This shift in focus helps you stay calm and reduces frustration. Let's take another step forward. Mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judging them. When you are mindful, you can notice when someone's behavior is starting to upset you and choose to respond calmly. For instance, if a family member starts an argument, you can take a deep breath, recognize your rising anger, and choose to respond with kindness or simply walk away. Positive self-talk can also be a powerful ally. Remind yourself that you are in control of your reactions and that you can handle the situation with grace. Tell yourself things like, "I can stay calm," or "I won't let this person disturb my peace." Positive self-talk can strengthen your resolve and help you stay composed under pressure. Next, let's consider empathy. Try to understand the difficult person's perspective. Everyone has their own struggles and reasons for their behavior. By seeing things from their point of view, you might feel more compassionate and less irritated. For example, if a friend is being rude, consider that they might be having a tough day or dealing with personal issues. This understanding can make it easier to respond with patience. Boundaries are another essential aspect. Setting clear boundaries is important too. Let others know what behavior is acceptable and what is not. You can do this calmly and assertively, without anger. For example, if a coworker frequently interrupts you, calmly tell them that you need to focus and would appreciate not being disturbed. Clear boundaries help protect your peace and make your interactions smoother. Let's also touch on acceptance. It's crucial to accept that not everyone will change. Some people will remain difficult no matter what you do. Accepting this fact can reduce your frustration. You can only control your actions and responses, not the actions of others. By accepting people as they are, you can let go of the need to change them and focus on maintaining your own peace. Reflecting on your own behavior brings us to another important point. Sometimes, we might unknowingly contribute to the difficulty. Think about whether there is anything you can change in your own behavior to improve the situation. Self-reflection can lead to personal growth and better interactions with others. To add another layer, consider regular self-care. Engaging in regular self-care can also help you stay calm in the face of difficult people. Activities like exercise, meditation, and spending time in nature can reduce stress and improve your overall well-being. When you feel good physically and mentally, you are better equipped to handle challenging situations with composure. Finally, every challenging interaction is an opportunity. Remember that every difficult interaction is an opportunity to practice Stoic virtues like patience, humility, and resilience. Instead of seeing these encounters as burdens, view them as chances to grow stronger and more virtuous. Each time you stay calm in the face of difficulty, you are reinforcing your ability to maintain inner peace. 2. Practice empathy. Practicing empathy is a powerful way to handle difficult people, and it aligns well with the principles of Stoicism. Empathy involves trying to understand the difficult person's perspective and recognizing that everyone has their struggles and reasons for their behavior. By practicing empathy, we can respond to challenging individuals with compassion and patience rather than frustration and anger. This approach not only helps in maintaining our inner peace, but also fosters better relationships and more positive interactions. Understanding empathy starts with recognizing that every person we encounter is dealing with their own set of challenges and difficulties. These struggles may not always be visible, but they influence behavior significantly. When someone acts in a way that we find difficult, it can be helpful to pause and consider what might be happening in their life that is contributing to their actions. This shift in perspective can transform our response from one of irritation to one of compassion. For example, if a coworker is being particularly harsh or critical, instead of immediately feeling attacked or defensive, we can take a moment to think about what might be driving their behavior. Perhaps they are under a lot of pressure at work, dealing with personal issues at home, or feeling insecure about their own performance. By considering these possibilities, we can respond with more understanding and less resentment. This doesn't mean we have to accept or tolerate bad behavior, but it does mean we can approach the situation with a mindset that seeks to understand rather than judge. Active listening is a key component of practicing empathy. When someone is being difficult, it's easy to focus on our own feelings and reactions. However, by actively listening to what the other person is saying, we can gain insights into their perspective and emotions. Active listening involves paying full attention to the speaker, not interrupting, and responding thoughtfully. This can be challenging, especially when we feel attacked or criticized, but it's a crucial step in understanding the other person's point of view. When we listen actively, we show the other person that we value their feelings and thoughts. This can help de-escalate tense situations and create a space for more constructive dialogue. For instance, if a friend is lashing out, instead of responding with anger, we can listen to their concerns and try to understand the root cause of their frustration. Often, people just want to feel heard and understood, and giving them this space can significantly improve the interaction. Empathy also involves acknowledging that everyone has bad days. Just as we have times when we are not at our best, others do too. By giving people the benefit of the doubt and assuming they are doing the best they can under their current circumstances, we can approach them with more kindness and patience. This mindset helps us stay calm and composed, even when faced with difficult behavior. To practice empathy effectively, it can be helpful to ask questions. If someone is acting out, instead of reacting defensively, we can gently ask them about their feelings or what's going on in their life. This shows that we care about their well-being and are interested in understanding their perspective. For example, if a family member is being unusually irritable, we might say, "I've noticed you seem upset. Is there something bothering you that you'd like to talk about?" This approach can open up a dialogue and provide the other person an opportunity to express themselves, which can help reduce their difficult behavior. It's important to note that practicing empathy doesn't mean we have to agree with the difficult person or condone their behavior. It simply means that we are trying to understand their perspective and respond in a way that acknowledges their feelings. This can be especially challenging when the other person's behavior is hurtful or unfair, but it's a powerful way to maintain our own inner peace and foster more positive interactions. Empathy can also be practiced through non-verbal communication. Our body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can convey empathy and understanding. For example, maintaining eye contact, nodding to show we are listening, and using a calm and gentle tone can all signal to the other person that we are engaged and care about what they are saying. These small gestures can make a big difference in how our interactions unfold. Another aspect of empathy is recognizing and accepting that we might not always fully understand what another person is going through. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we can't completely grasp someone else's experiences and emotions. In these cases, it's important to be humble and acknowledge our limitations. Simply being there for the other person and showing that we are willing to listen and support them can be enough. Practicing empathy can also involve reflecting on our own experiences and how they have shaped our behavior. By understanding our own struggles and how they influence our actions, we can develop a greater sense of empathy for others. For instance, if we have gone through a difficult time and behaved in ways we are not proud of, we can use that experience to remind ourselves that others might be going through something similar. It's also helpful to remember that practicing empathy is a skill that takes time and effort to develop. It's not always easy to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, especially when we are feeling hurt or frustrated. However, with practice, we can become better at understanding and responding to others with compassion. This not only helps in dealing with difficult people, but also enhances our overall emotional intelligence and relationships. In conclusion, practicing empathy involves trying to understand the difficult person's perspective and recognizing that everyone has their struggles and reasons for their behavior. By actively listening, asking questions, and showing compassion, we can respond to challenging individuals with patience and understanding. This approach aligns with Stoic principles and helps us maintain our inner peace while fostering more positive interactions. Practicing empathy is a powerful way to handle difficult people and can lead to more harmonious and fulfilling relationships. 3. Set clear boundaries. Setting clear boundaries is an essential strategy for dealing with difficult people and maintaining your inner peace. Boundaries define what behavior is acceptable and help you protect your mental and emotional well-being. When you set and enforce boundaries calmly and assertively, you can manage your interactions with difficult people more effectively. Here's how to set clear boundaries and stick to them without anger, using simple and practical steps. First, it's important to understand what boundaries are. Boundaries are limits that you set for yourself and others about what you are willing to accept in terms of behavior and treatment. They can be physical, emotional, or mental. Setting boundaries means clearly communicating what is acceptable and what is not, and then enforcing those limits consistently. To begin setting boundaries, you need to identify what behaviors you find unacceptable or harmful. This can vary from person to person, but common examples include disrespect, criticism, manipulation, and intrusiveness. Think about past interactions that left you feeling upset or uncomfortable. These situations can provide clues about where your boundaries need to be. Once you have identified the behaviors that you find unacceptable, the next step is to communicate your boundaries clearly. Use straightforward and assertive language to let the other person know what you expect. For example, if a coworker often interrupts you during meetings, you could say, "I appreciate your input, but I need to finish my points without interruptions." It's important to be specific about the behavior you want to change and to use I statements to express your feelings and needs. When setting boundaries, it's crucial to stay calm and composed. Avoid using anger or aggression, as this can escalate the situation and make the other person defensive. Instead, focus on being assertive and respectful. Your goal is to communicate your needs clearly, not to start a confrontation. For example, if a friend constantly criticizes you, you could say, "I value our friendship, but I need you to stop criticizing me. It hurts my feelings and affects our relationship." It's also important to be consistent in enforcing your boundaries. Once you have set a boundary, stick to it. If the other person continues to violate your boundary, remind them of your limit and the consequences of crossing it. For example, if a family member continues to make hurtful comments despite your request to stop, you could say, "I asked you not to make those comments. If it continues, I will need to limit our interactions." Consistency shows that you are serious about your boundaries and helps reinforce them over time. In addition to being clear and consistent, it's important to be prepared for pushback. Some people may not respect your boundaries right away and may try to test or ignore them. This is especially true if they are used to a certain dynamic with you. Be firm and stand by your boundaries, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Over time, most people will come to respect your limits if you consistently enforce them. One key to maintaining boundaries without anger is to separate the person from their behavior. Understand that it's the behavior that is unacceptable, not the person themselves. This mindset can help you address issues without letting emotions take over. For example, if a coworker is being disrespectful, focus on addressing the specific behavior rather than attacking their character. You could say, "I find your tone disrespectful, and it's not appropriate for our work environment," instead of, "You are always rude and inconsiderate." It's also helpful to practice self-care and stress management techniques. Setting and enforcing boundaries can be challenging, especially if you are not used to it. Taking care of your mental and emotional health can help you stay calm and composed during difficult interactions. Activities like exercise, meditation, and spending time with supportive friends and family can reduce stress and improve your overall well-being. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is to respect other people's boundaries as well. Boundaries are a two-way street, and it's important to be mindful of others' limits, just as you expect them to be mindful of yours. This mutual respect can create a healthier and more balanced dynamic in your relationships. It's also valuable to remember that setting boundaries is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process. As your relationships and circumstances change, your boundaries may need to be adjusted. Regularly reassessing your limits and being open to making changes can help you maintain healthy interactions over time. In some cases, you may need to seek support from others when setting boundaries. Talking to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist can provide valuable insights and encouragement. They can offer perspective and advice on how to handle difficult situations and reinforce your efforts to maintain your boundaries. Practicing assertiveness is another crucial skill for setting boundaries. Assertiveness involves expressing your needs and rights clearly and respectfully without being passive or aggressive. It's about finding a balance where you can stand up for yourself while also respecting others. Role-playing different scenarios or practicing assertive communication techniques can help you become more comfortable and effective in setting boundaries. Finally, it's important to be patient with yourself and others as you work on setting and maintaining boundaries. It can take time to build the confidence and skills needed to enforce your limits consistently. Be kind to yourself if you struggle or make mistakes along the way. Recognize that setting boundaries is a learning process, and every step you take towards asserting your needs is a positive move towards healthier relationships and greater peace of mind. In summary, setting clear boundaries involves identifying unacceptable behaviors, communicating your limits assertively, staying calm and consistent in enforcing them, and being prepared for pushback. By focusing on the behavior, not the person, and practicing self-care and stress management, you can maintain your boundaries without anger. Respecting others' boundaries and seeking support when needed can further strengthen your efforts. Practicing assertiveness and being patient with yourself are also key components of successfully setting and maintaining boundaries. With time and practice, setting boundaries becomes a powerful tool for protecting your well-being and fostering healthier interactions with difficult people. 4. Focus on what you can control. Focusing on what you can control is a crucial concept when dealing with difficult people and maintaining your inner peace. This idea, deeply rooted in Stoic philosophy, teaches us that while we cannot control others' actions, we can always control our reactions to them. Understanding and applying this principle can help us navigate challenging situations with more calm and composure. Imagine being in a situation where someone is being rude or unfair to you. It's natural to feel upset or defensive. However, reacting with anger or frustration often escalates the situation and makes it worse. Instead, focusing on what you can control means taking a step back and choosing how to respond thoughtfully. This approach helps maintain your peace of mind and can also lead to more constructive outcomes. The first step in focusing on what you can control is to acknowledge that you cannot change other people's behavior. No matter how much you wish for someone to act differently, you do not have the power to control their actions, thoughts, or feelings. This realization can be both liberating and challenging. It frees you from the impossible task of trying to change others, but it also means accepting that some situations are beyond your influence. Instead of trying to control others, turn your attention to your own responses. You have complete control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. When faced with difficult behavior, pause and take a moment to consider your response. Ask yourself what kind of reaction will best serve you and the situation. This pause allows you to choose a response that aligns with your values and goals, rather than reacting impulsively. For example, if someone criticizes you unfairly, instead of reacting defensively, you could choose to respond calmly and assertively. You might say, "I appreciate your feedback, but I see things differently." This kind of response shows that you are open to dialogue without accepting unjust criticism. It also helps to diffuse tension and keeps the conversation respectful. Another aspect of focusing on what you can control is managing your emotional responses. Emotions are powerful and can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially in challenging interactions. However, you can learn to manage your emotions by practicing mindfulness and self-awareness. When you notice yourself becoming angry or upset, take a few deep breaths and remind yourself that you have the power to choose your response. This practice helps you stay grounded and prevents your emotions from dictating your actions. It's also important to cultivate a mindset of acceptance. Accept that some things are out of your control and that trying to change them will only lead to frustration. Instead, focus on what you can influence. This might include setting boundaries, communicating clearly, and taking care of your own well-being. By directing your energy towards what you can control, you can make positive changes in your life and interactions. For instance, if a coworker is consistently late to meetings, you cannot control their punctuality. However, you can control how you manage your time and communicate your needs. You might say, "I value our meeting time and it's important to start on schedule. Can we agree on a time that works for both of us?" This approach focuses on finding a solution rather than getting frustrated over something you cannot change. In relationships, focusing on what you can control means taking responsibility for your own behavior and reactions. If a friend or family member is acting in a way that upsets you, consider how you can address the issue constructively. Instead of blaming or criticizing, express your feelings and needs clearly and calmly. For example, you might say, "I feel hurt when you cancel our plans last minute. Can we find a way to communicate better about our schedules?" This shifts the focus from the other person's behavior to your own experience and how you can improve the situation. Developing resilience is another key part of focusing on what you can control. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity and maintain a positive outlook. By building resilience, you become better equipped to handle difficult situations and people. Practices such as regular exercise, adequate sleep, and a healthy diet can enhance your physical resilience, while activities like meditation, journaling, and seeking social support can strengthen your emotional resilience. A practical way to reinforce focusing on what you can control is to create a list of stressors and categorize them into two groups: those you can control and those you cannot. For the items you can control, brainstorm actionable steps you can take to address them. For those you cannot control, practice acceptance and let go of the need to change them. This exercise can provide clarity and help you direct your energy more effectively. It's also helpful to remember that focusing on what you can control is a continuous practice. It's natural to sometimes feel frustrated or overwhelmed by others' actions. When this happens, gently remind yourself of what you can control. This practice becomes easier over time and can lead to more peaceful and productive interactions. In addition, practicing gratitude can shift your focus towards positive aspects of your life that you can influence. Take time each day to reflect on what you are grateful for and the things within your control that contribute to your well-being. This mindset can help you stay grounded and reduce the impact of negative interactions. Lastly, seeking support from others can reinforce your efforts to focus on what you can control. Talking to friends, family, or a therapist about your challenges can provide new perspectives and coping strategies. They can offer encouragement and remind you of your strengths and abilities. In conclusion, focusing on what you can control involves accepting that you cannot change others' actions, but you can always choose your reactions. By managing your responses, practicing mindfulness, setting boundaries, and cultivating resilience, you can navigate difficult situations more effectively. This approach helps maintain your inner peace and fosters healthier, more constructive interactions. It's a continuous practice that becomes more natural over time, leading to a more balanced and fulfilling life. 5. Don't take things personally. Don't take things personally. This simple advice can transform how you deal with difficult people and maintain your inner peace. Often, difficult behavior reflects more about the other person than about you. Understanding this can help you respond more calmly and effectively when faced with challenging interactions. When someone behaves poorly, it's easy to think it's because of something you did. For example, if a coworker snaps at you, you might wonder if you said something wrong. If a friend cancels plans, you might think they don't value your friendship. These reactions are natural, but they can lead to unnecessary stress and hurt feelings. Instead, it's important to remember that other people's actions often have little to do with you and more to do with what's going on in their own lives. People carry their own stresses, insecurities, and problems. These can influence how they behave, sometimes making them act in ways that are not fair or reasonable. When someone is rude or unkind, it might be because they are having a bad day, dealing with personal issues, or feeling overwhelmed. Recognizing this can help you avoid taking their behavior personally. For instance, imagine a situation where a colleague is unusually curt with you. Instead of immediately feeling hurt or angry, consider that they might be under a lot of pressure. They could be dealing with a tight deadline, personal problems, or just a bad mood. Their behavior is more a reflection of their state of mind than a comment on you or your actions. By seeing the situation this way, you can respond with empathy rather than defensiveness. Another important aspect of not taking things personally is maintaining a strong sense of self-worth. When you feel good about yourself, it's easier to brush off negative behavior from others. You recognize that their actions do not define you or your value. Building self-confidence and self-esteem can make you more resilient to other people's difficult behavior. Practice positive self-talk and remind yourself of your strengths and accomplishments regularly. This can help you stay grounded and less affected by others' actions. It's also helpful to practice detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care about others. It means you don't let their behavior control your emotions. When you detach, you can observe the situation more objectively. You see the other person's behavior as separate from your own identity. This makes it easier to stay calm and not take things to heart. For example, if a friend makes a critical comment, instead of feeling upset, you can think, "That's their opinion. It doesn't change who I am." Communication is another key tool. When someone's behavior bothers you, it can be helpful to talk to them about it. Approach the conversation calmly and without accusation. Express how their behavior made you feel and ask if there's something going on that's causing them stress. For example, you might say, "I felt hurt when you snapped at me earlier. Is everything okay?" This can open up a dialogue and provide insights into their behavior, showing them that you care and are willing to understand. Another strategy is to set boundaries. If someone's behavior is consistently difficult, it's important to protect yourself. This might mean limiting your interactions with them or being clear about what behavior you will not tolerate. Setting boundaries is not about punishing the other person. It's about taking care of your own well-being. For example, if a coworker is often critical, you could say, "I'm happy to discuss work issues, but I need us to communicate respectfully." It's also beneficial to practice empathy. Try to see things from the other person's perspective. Everyone has their own struggles and reasons for their behavior. By understanding this, you can respond with compassion rather than taking their actions personally. For example, if a friend cancels plans at the last minute, instead of feeling rejected, consider that they might be dealing with something difficult. This mindset can reduce your emotional reaction and help you stay calm. Another useful technique is mindfulness. Mindfulness involves staying present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you can catch yourself when you start to take things personally and choose a different response. For instance, if someone criticizes you, instead of immediately feeling hurt, you can take a deep breath, notice your reaction, and remind yourself that their criticism reflects their perspective, not your worth. Learning to let go is also crucial. Holding on to hurt feelings and grudges only harms you. When you let go, you free yourself from the emotional burden of others' actions. This doesn't mean you have to forget or condone bad behavior, but it does mean you don't allow it to control your emotions. Practice forgiveness, not for the other person's sake, but for your own peace of mind. For example, if a colleague was rude, acknowledge your feelings, decide how you want to respond, and then let it go. It's important to remember that everyone has their own journey and struggles. Just as you have your good and bad days, so do others. By keeping this in mind, you can avoid taking their actions too personally. Remind yourself that you cannot control how others act, only how you respond. This can help you stay centered and maintain your inner peace. Finally, seek support when you need it. Talking to friends, family, or a therapist can provide comfort and perspective. They can remind you of your worth and help you see things more clearly. Sometimes, just having someone to listen can make a big difference. In conclusion, don't take things personally. Difficult behavior often reflects more about the other person than about you. By understanding this, you can respond with empathy and patience, maintain a strong sense of self-worth, practice detachment, communicate effectively, set boundaries, and practice mindfulness and empathy. Let go of grudges and seek support when needed. This approach helps you maintain your inner peace and navigate difficult interactions more effectively. By focusing on these strategies, you can protect your well-being and foster healthier, more positive relationships. 6. Use rational thinking. Using rational thinking to approach situations logically rather than emotionally is a key principle of Stoicism. When dealing with difficult people or challenging situations, it's easy to let emotions take control. However, reacting emotionally can often escalate conflicts and lead to poor decisions. By thinking rationally and asking yourself, "What would a Stoic sage do?" you can handle situations more effectively and maintain your inner peace. Rational thinking involves using reason and logic to assess a situation and determine the best course of action. It means looking at the facts objectively without letting emotions cloud your judgment. This approach can help you respond to difficult people in a calm and composed manner, making it easier to find solutions and resolve conflicts. Imagine you're in a situation where a coworker criticizes your work harshly. It's natural to feel hurt or defensive. However, instead of reacting immediately, take a moment to think rationally. Consider the criticism objectively. Is there any truth to it? Can it help you improve your work? By focusing on the facts rather than your initial emotional response, you can address the situation constructively. To use rational thinking, start by pausing before you respond. When faced with a difficult person or situation, take a deep breath and give yourself a moment to collect your thoughts. This pause allows you to step back from your emotions and approach the situation with a clear mind. Ask yourself, what is actually happening here, and what is the best way to respond? A useful technique is to break down the situation into smaller parts. For example, if you're dealing with someone who is being rude, identify the specific behaviors that are causing the problem. By focusing on concrete actions rather than general feelings, you can address the issue more effectively. Instead of thinking, "This person is always rude to me," you might think, "This person interrupted me during the meeting, which made me feel disrespected." This clarity helps you find a rational response. Next, consider possible solutions and their outcomes. Evaluate the pros and cons of each option logically. For example, if a friend is frequently late, you might consider talking to them about it, adjusting your own schedule, or setting a boundary. Think about the potential consequences of each action and choose the one that aligns best with your goals and values. This rational approach can help you make better decisions and avoid unnecessary conflict. Another important aspect of rational thinking is separating facts from assumptions. Often, our emotional reactions are based on assumptions rather than facts. For instance, if a colleague ignores your email, you might assume they are upset with you. However, the fact is that they haven't responded yet. Their reasons for not responding are unknown. By focusing on what you know to be true and questioning your assumptions, you can avoid misunderstandings and unnecessary stress. A Stoic sage would also consider the broader perspective. Stoicism teaches that many things in life are beyond our control, and what matters most is how we respond to them. When faced with a difficult person, think about the situation in the context of your overall life and goals. Will this issue matter a year from now, 5 years from now? By putting things in perspective, you can reduce the emotional impact and respond more rationally. It's also helpful to practice empathy and try to understand the other person's perspective. While this might seem emotional, it can actually enhance rational thinking by providing more information about the situation. Understanding why someone is behaving a certain way can help you respond more effectively. For example, if a colleague is acting irritable, consider whether they might be under stress or dealing with personal issues. This doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it can inform your response and help you address the root cause. Using rational thinking also means being aware of your own biases and emotions. Recognize that everyone has biases that can affect their judgment. By being aware of these biases, you can work to minimize their impact on your decisions. For example, if you know you tend to react defensively to criticism, you can make a conscious effort to listen openly and consider the feedback objectively. Practicing mindfulness can support rational thinking. Mindfulness involves being present and fully engaged in the current moment. By practicing mindfulness, you can become more aware of your thoughts and emotions as they arise without being controlled by them. This awareness can help you pause, reflect, and choose a rational response rather than reacting impulsively. Another technique is to use self-reflection to learn from past experiences. Think about times when you reacted emotionally and the outcomes of those reactions. Compare them to times when you approached situations rationally. What were the differences in outcomes? By reflecting on these experiences, you can reinforce the benefits of rational thinking and improve your ability to use it in the future. It's also useful to have a few rational questions to ask yourself in challenging situations. These might include, what are the facts? What are my options? What are the possible outcomes? And what response aligns with my values and goals? Having these questions ready can help you quickly shift to a rational mindset when emotions start to rise. Seeking advice from others can also enhance rational thinking. Sometimes it's difficult to see a situation clearly when you're emotionally involved. Talking to a trusted friend, family member, or mentor can provide a different perspective and help you consider options you might not have thought of. They can also help you stay grounded and focused on rational solutions. Lastly, practice gratitude. Focusing on what you're grateful for can shift your mindset from negative emotions to positive ones. This can help you approach situations more calmly and rationally. For example, if you're frustrated with a difficult person, take a moment to think about what you appreciate in your life. This shift can reduce the intensity of your emotions and help you respond more thoughtfully. In conclusion, using rational thinking means approaching situations logically rather than emotionally. By pausing before responding, breaking down situations into parts, separating facts from assumptions, considering the broader perspective, practicing empathy, being aware of biases, practicing mindfulness, reflecting on past experiences, asking rational questions, seeking advice, and practicing gratitude, you can handle difficult people and situations more effectively. By asking yourself, what would a Stoic sage do? You can stay calm, make better decisions, and maintain your inner peace. 7. Stay detached. Staying detached is a valuable skill when dealing with difficult people and conflicts. It means avoiding getting emotionally involved and observing the situation from a distance. This approach can help you maintain your inner peace and make better decisions. Let's explore how to stay detached and why it's important. Staying detached doesn't mean you don't care about the situation or the people involved. It means you are choosing to not let your emotions control your actions. When you stay detached, you can see things more clearly and respond more effectively. Emotional involvement can cloud your judgment and lead to impulsive reactions that might make the situation worse. Imagine you're in a heated argument with a coworker. If you get emotionally involved, you might say things you regret later or react defensively. However, if you stay detached, you can take a step back and look at the situation objectively. You can ask yourself, what is really happening here? What is the best way to handle this? This perspective allows you to respond calmly and rationally. One way to stay detached is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness means being present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you notice yourself getting emotional, take a deep breath and remind yourself to stay calm. Observe your emotions as if you were watching them from the outside. This practice helps you create a mental space between your emotions and your actions. Another technique is to visualize the situation as if you were an outsider looking in. Imagine you are watching a scene in a movie or reading about it in a book. This can help you see the situation more objectively and reduce the intensity of your emotions. For example, if a friend is criticizing you, imagine you are a third party observing the conversation. This can help you stay calm and respond more thoughtfully. It's also helpful to focus on the facts rather than your feelings. Emotions can be misleading and can distort your perception of reality. By focusing on the facts, you can make more rational decisions. For instance, if a family member makes a hurtful comment, focus on what was actually said, not on how it made you feel. This can help you respond in a more balanced way. Practicing self-awareness is key to staying detached. Self-awareness means being aware of your own thoughts, feelings, and reactions. When you are self-aware, you can recognize when you are starting to get emotionally involved and take steps to detach. For example, if you feel your anger rising during a conflict, you can take a moment to pause, breathe, and remind yourself to stay detached. This awareness can prevent your emotions from taking over. Setting boundaries can also help you stay detached. Boundaries define what behavior is acceptable and protect your mental and emotional well-being. When you set boundaries, you create a clear line that others should not cross. This can help you maintain your detachment and prevent emotional involvement. For example, if a coworker is being disrespectful, you can calmly tell them that their behavior is not acceptable and you will not engage in the conversation until it is respectful. It's important to remember that staying detached is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about protecting your peace and making sure your actions are guided by reason rather than emotion. This approach can lead to more constructive interactions and better outcomes. For example, if you stay detached during a disagreement, you are more likely to find a solution that works for both parties rather than escalating the conflict. Another way to stay detached is to practice empathy. Empathy means understanding and sharing the feelings of others. By trying to see things from the other person's perspective, you can respond with compassion rather than getting defensive. For example, if a friend is acting out of character, consider what might be going on in their life that is causing their behavior. This understanding can help you stay calm and detached. It's also helpful to keep things in perspective. Ask yourself if the situation will matter a year from now or even a month from now. Often, conflicts that seem intense in the moment lose their significance over time. By keeping the bigger picture in mind, you can stay detached and not let the situation overwhelm you. Practicing acceptance is another important aspect of staying detached. Accept that you cannot control other people's actions or feelings, only your own. This acceptance can help you let go of the need to change others and focus on how you respond. For example, if a colleague is consistently negative, accept that this is their behavior and choose how you want to respond without getting emotionally involved. It's also beneficial to have a support system. Talking to friends, family, or a therapist can provide perspective and help you stay grounded. They can offer advice and support, making it easier to stay detached in difficult situations. For example, if you are dealing with a difficult boss, discussing the situation with a trusted friend can help you see it more clearly and reduce emotional involvement. Taking care of your physical and mental health can also support detachment. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, and sufficient sleep can improve your overall well-being and make it easier to handle stress. When you feel good physically and mentally, you are better equipped to stay detached and respond calmly to difficult situations. It's important to practice self-compassion as well. Be kind to yourself and recognize that it's okay to have emotions. The goal is not to eliminate emotions, but to manage them effectively. If you find yourself getting emotionally involved, forgive yourself and try again. Detachment is a skill that takes practice and patience. In conclusion, staying detached means avoiding emotional involvement in conflicts and observing situations from a distance. By practicing mindfulness, focusing on facts, being self-aware, setting boundaries, practicing empathy, keeping perspective, accepting what you cannot control, seeking support, taking care of your health, and being self-compassionate, you can stay calm and make better decisions. This approach helps you maintain your inner peace and navigate difficult interactions more effectively. Remember, staying detached is not about being indifferent, but about protecting your well-being and responding with reason rather than emotion. 8. Practice patience. Practicing patience is a powerful way to improve your interactions with others and maintain your inner peace. It involves giving yourself time to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. This approach can help you handle difficult situations and people more effectively. Patience means slowing down and taking a moment to think before you act. When you face a challenging situation, it's natural to want to react immediately, especially if you feel provoked or upset. However, impulsive reactions can often make things worse. They can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and regret. By practicing patience, you can avoid these negative outcomes and respond in a more constructive way. Imagine you receive a rude email from a coworker. Your first instinct might be to reply with anger. However, if you practice patience, you take a moment to calm down before responding. This pause allows you to think about the best way to address the situation. You might decide to ask for clarification or suggest a face-to-face conversation to resolve the issue. By responding thoughtfully, you can diffuse the tension and find a solution that works for both parties. One effective way to practice patience is to take a few deep breaths when you feel yourself getting upset. Deep breathing helps calm your mind and body, giving you a moment to collect your thoughts. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of reacting with anger, take a deep breath and remind yourself to stay calm. This simple technique can prevent you from acting impulsively and keep you composed. Another method is to count to 10 before you respond. This gives you time to think about what you want to say and how you want to say it. Counting to 10 might seem like a small thing, but it can make a big difference in how you handle a situation. For example, if a friend says something hurtful, counting to 10 can give you the space you need to choose a thoughtful response rather than lashing out. Practicing mindfulness can also help you develop patience. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you are mindful, you can notice when you are starting to feel impatient and take steps to calm yourself. For instance, if you are waiting in a long line and feeling frustrated, mindfulness can help you focus on your breathing and the present moment, making the wait more bearable. It's important to remember that patience is not about suppressing your feelings. It's about managing them in a healthy way. Allow yourself to feel whatever emotions arise, but give yourself the time to process them before you act. For example, if you are angry with a family member, acknowledge your anger, but take some time to cool down before discussing the issue. This approach can help you communicate more effectively and avoid saying things you might regret. Developing empathy can also enhance your ability to practice patience. Try to understand the other person's perspective and what might be driving their behavior. When you see things from their point of view, it can be easier to respond with compassion rather than impatience. For instance, if a coworker is being difficult, consider that they might be under a lot of stress. This understanding can help you respond more calmly and constructively. Setting realistic expectations is another key to practicing patience. Sometimes we become impatient because our expectations are too high or unrealistic. By adjusting your expectations, you can reduce frustration and increase your ability to stay calm. For example, if you expect everything to go smoothly all the time, you are likely to be disappointed. Accepting that setbacks and delays are a normal part of life can help you stay patient when things don't go as planned. It's also helpful to focus on the long-term benefits of patience. Acting impulsively might provide a quick release of emotion, but it often leads to negative consequences. Patience, on the other hand, can lead to better outcomes and more positive relationships. For example, if you take the time to listen to someone's concerns and respond thoughtfully, you are more likely to resolve the issue and strengthen your relationship. Keeping these long-term benefits in mind can motivate you to practice patience, even when it's difficult. Practicing self-compassion is crucial in developing patience. Be kind to yourself and recognize that it's okay to struggle with impatience sometimes. Everyone has moments when they react impulsively. The important thing is to learn from these experiences and keep practicing. If you find yourself reacting impulsively, forgive yourself and try again next time. Patience is a skill that takes time and effort to develop. It can also be helpful to practice patience in low-stress situations to build your skills. For example, if you are stuck in traffic or waiting in a long line, use these moments as opportunities to practice patience. Focus on your breathing, observe your surroundings, and remind yourself to stay calm. These small practices can strengthen your ability to remain patient in more challenging situations. Another technique is to use positive affirmations. Remind yourself that you are capable of being patient and that taking your time to respond thoughtfully is a strength. You might say to yourself, "I am calm and patient," or "I take my time to respond thoughtfully." These affirmations can reinforce your commitment to patience and help you stay focused on your goal. Seeking support from others can also be beneficial. Talk to friends, family, or a therapist about your efforts to practice patience. They can offer encouragement, advice, and perspective. Sometimes just talking about your challenges can make them feel more manageable. For example, discussing a difficult interaction with a trusted friend can help you see the situation more clearly and find a more patient response. Finally, recognize and celebrate your progress. Developing patience is a journey, and it's important to acknowledge your successes along the way. When you handle a situation with patience, take a moment to appreciate your effort and the positive outcome. This recognition can motivate you to continue practicing and improving your patience skills. In conclusion, practicing patience means giving yourself time to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. By taking deep breaths, counting to 10, practicing mindfulness, developing empathy, setting realistic expectations, focusing on long-term benefits, being self-compassionate, practicing in low-stress situations, using positive affirmations, seeking support, and celebrating your progress, you can enhance your ability to stay patient. This approach helps you handle difficult situations more effectively, maintain your inner peace, and improve your relationships. Patience is a valuable skill that takes time and practice to develop, but the rewards are well worth the effort. 9. Reflect on your own behavior. Reflecting on your own behavior is an important step in dealing with difficult situations and maintaining healthy relationships. It means considering if there's anything in your actions or attitudes that might be contributing to the difficulty. This self-reflection can help you improve your interactions with others and grow as a person. When we encounter difficult situations, it's easy to focus on what others are doing wrong. However, it's also important to look at our own behavior and see if we might be part of the problem. By reflecting on our actions, we can identify areas where we can change or improve. This can lead to better communication, less conflict, and more positive relationships. One way to start reflecting on your own behavior is to think about recent interactions that didn't go well. Try to recall what you said and did, and how the other person responded. Be honest with yourself about your role in the situation. For example, if you had an argument with a coworker, consider if you might have said something that triggered the conflict. Did you raise your voice, interrupt them, or dismiss their ideas? Recognizing your own contributions to the problem can help you understand what you might do differently next time. It's also helpful to get feedback from others. Ask a trusted friend or family member for their perspective on the situation. Sometimes others can see things that we can't. They might notice patterns in your behavior that you're not aware of. For instance, they might point out that you often react defensively to criticism or that you tend to dominate conversations. This feedback can be valuable in helping you identify areas for improvement. Reflecting on your own behavior also involves examining your intentions and motivations. Ask yourself why you acted the way you did. Were you trying to protect yourself, assert your authority, or avoid conflict? Understanding your motivations can help you see if they were appropriate for the situation. For example, if you realize that you reacted defensively because you felt threatened, you can work on finding healthier ways to respond to criticism in the future. It's important to consider the impact of your behavior on others. Think about how your actions might have made the other person feel. Did you show respect and empathy, or did you come across as dismissive or hostile? Putting yourself in the other person's shoes can help you understand their perspective and how your behavior might have contributed to the difficulty. For example, if a colleague seemed upset after a meeting, consider if your comments might have been too harsh or critical. Another aspect of self-reflection is recognizing any recurring patterns in your behavior. Do you often find yourself in similar conflicts or misunderstandings? If so, try to identify common themes. For instance, you might notice that you frequently clash with authority figures or that you struggle to accept feedback. Recognizing these patterns can help you address the underlying issues and make lasting changes in your behavior. It's also helpful to think about how you can communicate more effectively. Reflect on your communication style and how it might be contributing to the difficulty. Are you clear and direct, or do you tend to be vague and indirect? Do you listen actively, or do you often interrupt or talk over others? Improving your communication skills can help you avoid misunderstandings and build better relationships. For example, practicing active listening and asking clarifying questions can show that you value the other person's perspective and help you understand them better. Reflecting on your own behavior can be uncomfortable, especially if you realize that you've made mistakes or hurt others. It's important to approach this process with self-compassion. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and that self-reflection is a tool for growth, not self-criticism. Be kind to yourself and focus on what you can learn from the experience. For example, if you realize that you've been too critical of a friend, use this insight to work on being more supportive in the future. It's also important to take responsibility for your actions. If you realize that you've contributed to the difficulty, be willing to apologize and make amends. A sincere apology can go a long way in repairing relationships and building trust. For example, you might say, "I'm sorry for interrupting you during the meeting. I realize that it was disrespectful, and I will work on being a better listener." Taking responsibility shows that you are committed to improving and that you value the relationship. Reflecting on your own behavior also involves setting goals for personal growth. Based on your reflections, identify specific areas where you want to improve. Set realistic and achievable goals and create a plan for how you will work towards them. For example, if you want to improve your communication skills, you might set a goal to practice active listening during meetings and seek feedback from colleagues on your progress. Having clear goals can help you stay focused and motivated as you work on becoming a better version of yourself. It's also helpful to seek support and resources for personal growth. Books, workshops, and therapy can provide valuable insights and tools for self-improvement. For example, reading books on effective communication or attending a workshop on conflict resolution can give you new strategies for handling difficult situations. Therapy can provide a safe space to explore your behavior and work through any underlying issues. Seeking support shows that you are committed to your growth and willing to invest in yourself. Lastly, remember that self-reflection is an ongoing process. It's not something you do once and then forget about. Make a habit of regularly reflecting on your behavior and seeking feedback from others. This continuous practice can help you stay aware of your actions and make ongoing improvements. For example, you might set aside time each week to reflect on your interactions and identify any areas for growth. By making self-reflection a regular part of your routine, you can continue to develop and maintain positive relationships. In conclusion, reflecting on your own behavior means considering if there's anything in your actions that might be contributing to the difficulty. By being honest with yourself, seeking feedback, examining your motivations, considering the impact of your behavior, recognizing patterns, improving your communication skills, practicing self-compassion, taking responsibility, setting goals, seeking support, and making self-reflection a regular practice, you can improve your interactions with others and grow as a person. This process can help you build healthier relationships, reduce conflicts, and maintain your inner peace. 10. Use constructive communication. Using constructive communication is key to handling difficult situations and maintaining positive relationships. It involves speaking clearly and assertively without aggression and focusing on finding solutions. By practicing constructive communication, you can improve your interactions with others and resolve conflicts more effectively. Constructive communication starts with clarity. When you speak clearly, you ensure that your message is understood. Avoid using vague or ambiguous language, as this can lead to misunderstandings. Instead, be specific about what you want to convey. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you could say, "I feel like my opinions aren't being heard when we discuss work issues." This specific statement is clearer and more likely to lead to a productive conversation. Assertiveness is another important aspect of constructive communication. Being assertive means expressing your thoughts, feelings, and needs confidently and respectfully. It's about standing up for yourself without being aggressive. For instance, if a colleague interrupts you during a meeting, you could say, "I'd like to finish my point before we move on." This statement is assertive because it clearly expresses your need without attacking the other person. It's important to distinguish between assertiveness and aggression. Aggression involves trying to dominate or control the other person, often through intimidation or hostility. Assertiveness, on the other hand, is about expressing yourself in a way that respects both your needs and the needs of others. For example, saying, "You always interrupt me and it's really annoying," is aggressive and likely to escalate the conflict. In contrast, saying, "I feel frustrated when I'm interrupted because it makes it hard for me to share my ideas," is assertive and more likely to lead to a constructive discussion. Listening is also a crucial part of constructive communication. Good communication is not just about expressing your own views, but also about understanding the views of others. Practice active listening by paying full attention to the speaker, nodding to show you are listening, and summarizing what they've said to ensure you've understood. For example, you might say, "It sounds like you're concerned about the deadline. Is that correct?" This shows the other person that you are genuinely interested in their perspective and are working to understand their concerns. Focusing on finding solutions rather than assigning blame can also enhance constructive communication. When conflicts arise, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming others for the problem. However, this approach is usually counterproductive and can make the situation worse. Instead, focus on identifying the issue and finding a solution that works for everyone involved. For example, if you and a coworker are having trouble with a project, instead of blaming each other for the delays, you could say, "Let's figure out how we can get back on track and meet our deadline." It's also helpful to use I statements rather than you statements. I statements focus on your own feelings and experiences, which can make the other person less defensive. For instance, instead of saying, "You're always late," you could say, "I feel stressed when meetings start late because it disrupts my schedule." This approach is less likely to provoke a defensive reaction and more likely to lead to a productive conversation. Nonverbal communication is another important aspect of constructive communication. Your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can all influence how your message is received. Ensure that your nonverbal cues match your words. For example, maintaining eye contact and using a calm tone can reinforce your message and show that you are engaged and sincere. Avoid crossing your arms or using a harsh tone, as these can make you seem closed off or aggressive. Practicing empathy can also improve your communication. Try to understand the other person's perspective and consider how they might be feeling. This can help you respond with compassion and find solutions that address their concerns as well as your own. For instance, if a friend is upset because they feel ignored, you might say, I understand that you feel left out, and I want to make sure we spend more time together. It's important to stay focused on the issue at hand and avoid bringing up past conflicts. Bringing up old grievances can distract from the current issue and make the other person feel attacked. Stick to the present situation and work together to find a solution. For example, if you're discussing a disagreement about chores, avoid mentioning past arguments about unrelated topics. Instead, focus on finding a fair way to divide the chores moving forward. Being open to feedback is another key component of constructive communication. Be willing to listen to the other person's concerns and consider their suggestions. This shows that you value their input and are open to finding a mutually acceptable solution. For example, if a colleague suggests a different approach to a project, consider their idea and discuss how it might work, rather than dismissing it outright. Managing your emotions is also crucial for constructive communication. When you're upset, it's easy to say things you don't mean or to escalate the conflict. Take a moment to calm down before responding and focus on expressing your feelings calmly and respectfully. For instance, if you're angry with a family member, take a few deep breaths before discussing the issue. This can help you stay composed and communicate more effectively. It's also helpful to practice patience. Resolving conflicts and finding solutions can take time, and it's important to be patient with yourself and the other person. Avoid rushing the conversation or forcing a resolution before you're ready. Give yourself and the other person time to think and process the discussion. This patience can lead to more thoughtful and lasting solutions. Finally, it's important to follow up after the conversation to ensure that the solution is working. Check in with the other person to see how they're feeling and if there are any additional concerns. This shows that you are committed to maintaining a positive relationship and are willing to continue working together to resolve any issues. For example, after agreeing on a new approach to a project, you might say, "Let's touch base next week to see how things are going and make any necessary adjustments." In conclusion, using constructive communication involves speaking clearly and assertively, without aggression, and focusing on finding solutions. By being specific, practicing assertiveness, listening actively, using I statements, managing your non-verbal communication, practicing empathy, staying focused on the present issue, being open to feedback, managing your emotions, practicing patience, and following up, you can improve your interactions with others and resolve conflicts more effectively. This approach helps build stronger, more positive relationships and contributes to a more harmonious and productive environment. 11. Accept imperfections. Accepting imperfections is an important part of dealing with difficult people and maintaining a peaceful life. Recognizing that everyone has flaws and that difficult people are part of life can help you navigate relationships more effectively and with less stress. First, it's important to understand that nobody is perfect. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and everyone makes mistakes. This includes you and me, as well as the difficult people we encounter. By accepting that everyone, including ourselves, has imperfections, we can approach situations with more compassion and understanding. This mindset helps us respond to others with patience rather than frustration. When dealing with difficult people, it's helpful to remember that their behavior often reflects their own struggles and insecurities. They may be dealing with stress, fear, or past experiences that influence how they act. For example, someone who is overly critical might be struggling with their own feelings of inadequacy. By recognizing this, you can approach them with empathy rather than taking their behavior personally. It's also important to acknowledge that difficult people are a part of life. No matter where you go or what you do, you will encounter people who challenge you. This is a natural part of human interaction. Instead of trying to avoid difficult people or wishing they would change, it's more helpful to accept their presence and learn how to deal with them effectively. This acceptance can reduce your frustration and help you maintain your inner peace. One way to accept imperfections is to practice self-reflection. Consider your own flaws and how they affect your behavior. This can help you develop empathy for others. For instance, if you know that you can be impatient, you might understand better why someone else might struggle with patience. This self-awareness can make you more forgiving of others' imperfections. It's also useful to focus on the positive aspects of people rather than just their flaws. Everyone has good qualities, and by acknowledging these, you can create a more balanced view of them. For example, a co-worker who is often late might be very creative and bring great ideas to the team. By focusing on their strengths, you can build a more positive relationship despite their imperfections. Practicing gratitude can also help you accept imperfections. When you focus on what you appreciate in others, it becomes easier to overlook their flaws. For example, if you're frustrated with a friend's habit of interrupting, remind yourself of the qualities you value in them, such as their loyalty or sense of humor. This shift in focus can improve your mood and make the imperfections seem less significant. Another important aspect of accepting imperfections is setting realistic expectations. If you expect perfection from others, you are setting yourself up for disappointment. Recognize that everyone, including yourself, will make mistakes and have bad days. By adjusting your expectations, you can reduce your frustration and approach situations with more patience. It's also helpful to practice forgiveness. When someone's imperfections cause problems, it's easy to hold a grudge or feel resentful. However, holding on to these negative feelings only harms you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone their behavior, but it does mean letting go of your anger and moving forward. For example, if a colleague made a mistake that affected your work, forgiving them can help you maintain a positive working relationship. Maintaining healthy boundaries is also crucial when dealing with difficult people. Accepting imperfections doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It's important to set boundaries to protect yourself while still showing compassion. For instance, if a friend is consistently negative, you can limit your time with them while still being supportive. This balance helps you stay connected without being overwhelmed by their flaws. Mindfulness is another tool that can help you accept imperfections. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When you practice mindfulness, you can notice when you are becoming frustrated with someone's flaws and choose to respond calmly. For example, if a family member's behavior is irritating you, mindfulness can help you stay centered and respond with patience. It's also beneficial to seek support from others. Talking to friends, family, or a therapist about your challenges with difficult people can provide new perspectives and advice. They can offer encouragement and help you find ways to cope with imperfections more effectively. For instance, discussing a problem with a trusted friend can help you see the situation more clearly and reduce your frustration. Practicing self-care is also important in accepting imperfections. When you take care of your physical and emotional well-being, you are better equipped to handle challenges. Regular exercise, a healthy diet, sufficient sleep, and relaxation techniques can improve your overall mood and resilience. When you feel good, it's easier to accept others as they are. Another helpful approach is to focus on the things you can control. You cannot change other people's behavior, but you can control your reactions. By focusing on your own responses, you can maintain your peace and handle difficult situations more effectively. For example, if a colleague is being difficult, you can choose to stay calm and address the issue professionally rather than reacting emotionally. It's also important to recognize your growth and progress in dealing with difficult people. Reflect on past experiences and how you have learned to handle them better over time. This reflection can boost your confidence and encourage you to keep improving. For example, if you used to react angrily to criticism but now respond calmly, acknowledge this progress and build on it. In conclusion, accepting imperfections means recognizing that everyone has flaws and that difficult people are part of life. By practicing self-reflection, focusing on positive aspects, practicing gratitude, setting realistic expectations, forgiving others, maintaining boundaries, practicing mindfulness, seeking support, practicing self-care, focusing on what you can control, and recognizing your growth, you can improve your interactions and maintain your inner peace. This acceptance helps you navigate relationships more effectively and reduces stress, leading to a more harmonious and fulfilling life. 12. Cultivate resilience. Cultivating resilience is essential for dealing with negative interactions without letting them affect your well-being. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from difficult situations and remain strong in the face of adversity. By strengthening your resilience, you can handle challenges and negative interactions more effectively, maintaining your inner peace and overall well-being. One way to cultivate resilience is to develop a positive mindset. This means focusing on the good things in your life and being optimistic about the future. When you face negative interactions, remind yourself that they are temporary and that you have the strength to overcome them. For example, if a coworker criticizes your work, instead of dwelling on the negativity, focus on what you can learn from the feedback and how you can improve. Another important aspect of resilience is self-awareness. Understanding your own emotions and reactions can help you manage them better. When you are aware of how you feel and why you feel that way, you can take steps to address your emotions constructively. For instance, if you feel angry after a negative interaction, acknowledge your anger and find healthy ways to express it, such as talking to a friend or writing in a journal. Practicing self-care is also crucial for building resilience. Taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being helps you stay strong and better equipped to handle stress. This includes getting regular exercise, eating a balanced diet, getting enough sleep, and engaging in activities that you enjoy. When you feel good physically and mentally, you are more resilient and able to cope with negative interactions. Developing a strong support network is another key factor in cultivating resilience. Surround yourself with positive, supportive people who can offer encouragement and help you navigate difficult situations. Talking to friends, family, or a therapist about your challenges can provide new perspectives and advice. For example, if you are dealing with a difficult boss, discussing the situation with a trusted friend can help you see it more clearly and find ways to cope. Learning to set boundaries is also important for resilience. Boundaries help protect your well-being by ensuring that you are not overwhelmed by others' negative behavior. This means being clear about what you will and will not tolerate and standing firm in your decisions. For example, if a colleague is constantly interrupting you, you can calmly explain that you need uninterrupted time to focus on your work and ask them to respect your space. Another way to build resilience is to develop problem-solving skills. When you face negative interactions, approach them as challenges to be solved rather than insurmountable problems. Break down the situation into smaller parts and identify possible solutions. For example, if you have a conflict with a coworker, think about the specific issues that need to be addressed and brainstorm ways to resolve them. This proactive approach can help you feel more in control and less overwhelmed. Practicing mindfulness can also enhance your resilience. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. By practicing mindfulness, You can become more aware of your reactions to negative interactions and choose how to respond rather than reacting impulsively. For instance, if someone says something hurtful, mindfulness can help you pause, take a deep breath, and respond calmly rather than lashing out. It's also helpful to focus on your strengths and achievements. Remind yourself of the times you have successfully navigated difficult situations in the past. This can boost your confidence and reinforce your belief in your ability to handle challenges. For example, if you've overcome a tough project at work before, remind yourself of that success when facing a new challenge. Another important aspect of resilience is flexibility. Being able to adapt to changing circumstances and view setbacks as opportunities for growth can help you stay resilient. Instead of seeing negative interactions as failures, view them as learning experiences. For example, if a project doesn't go as planned, consider what you can learn from the experience and how you can apply that knowledge in the future. Developing a sense of purpose can also strengthen your resilience. Having a clear sense of what is important to you and what you want to achieve can provide motivation and direction during tough times. This can help you stay focused and committed even when faced with negative interactions. For example, if you are passionate about your job, reminding yourself of your career goals can help you stay resilient in the face of workplace challenges. It's also beneficial to practice gratitude. Focusing on what you are grateful for can shift your mindset from negative to positive and help you stay resilient. Take time each day to reflect on the things you appreciate in your life. This can be as simple as enjoying a good meal, spending time with loved ones, or appreciating a beautiful sunset. This practice can improve your overall outlook and make it easier to handle negative interactions. Developing emotional regulation skills is another key aspect of resilience. This involves managing your emotions in a healthy way so they don't overwhelm you. Techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, and visualization can help you calm down and regain control during stressful situations. For example, if you feel anxious before a difficult conversation, taking a few deep breaths and visualizing a positive outcome can help you approach the situation more calmly. It's important to accept that setbacks and negative interactions are a part of life. Instead of trying to avoid them, focus on how you can handle them better. This acceptance can reduce your frustration and help you approach challenges with a more resilient mindset. For example, if a colleague is consistently negative, accepting that you cannot change their behavior but can control your response can help you stay resilient. Finally, be patient with yourself. Building resilience takes time and effort, and it's okay to have setbacks along the way. Be kind to yourself and recognize that it's a journey. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and keep working on developing your resilience. For example, if you handle a difficult situation better than you did before, acknowledge that improvement and use it as motivation to keep going. In conclusion, cultivating resilience involves developing a positive mindset, practicing self-awareness, taking care of yourself, building a support network, setting boundaries, developing problem-solving skills, practicing mindfulness, focusing on your strengths, being flexible, having a sense of purpose, practicing gratitude, regulating your emotions, accepting setbacks, and being patient with yourself. By strengthening your resilience, you can withstand negative interactions and maintain your well-being, leading to a more balanced and fulfilling life. 13. Seek common ground. Seeking common ground is a valuable approach in dealing with difficult people and creating a more cooperative atmosphere. Finding areas of agreement can help reduce tension, foster understanding, and build stronger relationships. By focusing on what you have in common rather than your differences, you can work together more effectively and resolve conflicts more smoothly. One way to seek common ground is to start by listening actively. When you truly listen to the other person, you show that you respect their perspective. Pay attention to what they are saying without interrupting or judging. This helps you understand their point of view and identify areas where you might agree. For example, if a coworker is upset about a project deadline, listen to their concerns and see if you both agree on the importance of meeting the deadline. After listening, look for shared goals or interests. Finding common goals can create a foundation for cooperation. For instance, even if you and a colleague disagree on how to complete a task, you might both want the project to succeed. Focusing on this shared goal can help you find a compromise. You could say, "We both want this project to be successful. Let's find a way to work together to achieve that." Another way to find common ground is to acknowledge and validate the other person's feelings. Showing empathy can help build trust and openness. For example, if a friend feels neglected, you might say, "I understand that you feel left out, and I'm sorry if I've made you feel that way. Let's find a way to spend more time together." This validation can help the other person feel heard and more willing to cooperate. It's also helpful to identify and focus on shared values. Shared values can be a powerful source of common ground. For instance, if you and a coworker both value honesty and transparency, you can build on these values to improve communication and collaboration. You might say, "I know we both value honesty, so let's be open with each other about our concerns and find a way forward." Using positive language can also help create a more cooperative atmosphere. Avoid negative or confrontational language, which can escalate conflicts. Instead, use positive and inclusive language that encourages collaboration. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to my ideas," you could say, "I'd like us to consider both our ideas and see how we can combine them for the best result." Another strategy is to find small areas of agreement, even if they seem minor. These small agreements can serve as building blocks for larger cooperation. For example, if you and a colleague disagree on a major issue, you might first agree on smaller aspects, like the timeline or specific tasks. By acknowledging these small agreements, you can create a sense of progress and build momentum towards resolving bigger conflicts. It's important to remain flexible and open-minded when seeking common ground. Be willing to adjust your views and consider new perspectives. Flexibility shows that you are committed to finding a solution that works for everyone. For instance, if a family member has a different opinion about a holiday plan, be open to their ideas and look for a compromise that satisfies both of you. Practicing patience is also crucial. Finding common ground can take time, especially if there are deep-seated disagreements. Be patient and persistent in your efforts to find areas of agreement. For example, if a friend is resistant to your suggestions, keep the conversation going and continue to look for commonalities over time. Patience can help you build trust and eventually find common ground. Another helpful approach is to focus on the bigger picture. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the details and forget the larger goal. Remind yourself and the other person of the bigger picture and how finding common ground benefits everyone. For example, if you and a colleague are arguing about a specific task, remind each other that your shared goal is to complete the project successfully. It's also important to manage your emotions and stay calm. Negative emotions can hinder your ability to find common ground. Practice techniques like deep breathing or taking a short break to calm down if you feel yourself getting upset. Staying calm helps you think more clearly and communicate more effectively. Using humor can also be a great way to lighten the mood and find common ground. Shared laughter can reduce tension and make it easier to connect. For example, if a meeting is becoming tense, a light-hearted comment or joke can help everyone relax and refocus on finding solutions. Seeking input from a neutral third party can also be beneficial. Sometimes an outside perspective can help identify common ground that you might have missed. For example, a mediator or trusted friend can help facilitate the conversation and suggest areas of agreement. Being appreciative of the other person's efforts to find common ground can also encourage cooperation. Acknowledge their willingness to work with you and express gratitude for their contributions. For example, you might say, "I appreciate that you're willing to discuss this and find a solution together." This positive reinforcement can strengthen your collaborative efforts. Reflecting on past successes can also help. Think about previous situations where you were able to find common ground and resolve conflicts. What strategies worked then? How can you apply those lessons to the current situation? Learning from past experiences can improve your ability to find common ground in the future. Finally, maintaining a positive attitude is essential. Believe in the possibility of finding common ground and approach the situation with optimism. A positive attitude can inspire others to do the same and create a more cooperative atmosphere. In conclusion, seeking common ground involves listening actively, looking for shared goals and values, using positive language, finding small areas of agreement, remaining flexible, practicing patience, focusing on the bigger picture, managing emotions, using humor, seeking input from a neutral third party, being appreciative, reflecting on past successes, and maintaining a positive attitude. By focusing on these strategies, you can find areas of agreement and build on them to create a more cooperative atmosphere, leading to better relationships and more effective conflict resolution. This approach helps you navigate difficult interactions with greater ease and fosters a more harmonious and collaborative environment. 14. Learn from the experience. Learning from difficult interactions is a valuable opportunity to practice and strengthen Stoic virtues. Stoicism is an ancient philosophy that teaches individuals to cultivate wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice in their lives. By approaching challenging situations with a Stoic mindset, you can grow as a person and improve your ability to handle adversity. One of the key principles of Stoicism is the idea that we have control over our thoughts and actions, but not over external events or other people's behavior. When faced with difficult interactions, Stoics focus on how they can respond virtuously rather than getting caught up in anger or frustration. By reframing the situation in this way, you can maintain your inner peace and avoid unnecessary suffering. For example, imagine you're in a meeting and a colleague criticizes your work in front of others. Instead of reacting defensively or feeling hurt, you can remind yourself that you have control over how you respond. You can choose to remain calm and composed, listen to their feedback with an open mind, and respond thoughtfully. This approach reflects Stoic virtues like courage and temperance as you face the criticism without letting it affect your well-being. Another Stoic principle is the importance of accepting things as they are, rather than resisting or trying to change them. When you encounter difficult interactions, Stoicism teaches you to accept them as part of life's challenges and opportunities for growth. By accepting the situation and focusing on how you can respond virtuously, you can avoid wasting energy on futile efforts to control things beyond your control. For instance, if you're dealing with a difficult coworker who refuses to collaborate, you can accept that you cannot force them to change their behavior. Instead, you can focus on how you can adapt to the situation and find alternative ways to work together effectively. This acceptance reflects Stoic virtues like wisdom and resilience as you approach the situation with a calm and rational mindset. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of practicing gratitude and finding value in every experience, even the difficult ones. When faced with challenging interactions, Stoics look for opportunities to learn and grow from them. They see each obstacle as a chance to strengthen their virtues and become better individuals. For example, if you're confronted with a difficult customer who is upset with your service, instead of feeling frustrated or defensive, you can view it as an opportunity to practice patience and empathy. By listening to their concerns and addressing them calmly and respectfully, you can turn the interaction into a positive experience for both parties. This approach reflects Stoic virtues like justice and compassion as you strive to treat others with fairness and kindness.
Stoicism also teaches the importance of maintaining perspective and focusing on what is truly important in life. When faced with difficult interactions, Stoics remind themselves that their worth and happiness are not dependent on external validation or the opinions of others. Instead, they focus on living in accordance with their own values and principles.
For example, if you're dealing with a difficult family member who criticizes your choices, instead of seeking their approval or getting upset by their comments, you can remind yourself of your own values and priorities. By staying true to yourself and your beliefs, you can maintain your self-respect and inner peace, regardless of their opinion. This approach reflects Stoic virtues like wisdom and integrity as you prioritize what truly matters to you. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of reflecting on past experiences and learning from them. When faced with difficult interactions, Stoics take the time to examine their own thoughts, feelings, and actions, and consider how they can improve in the future. By engaging in this process of self-reflection, you can become more self-aware and develop greater insight into your own strengths and weaknesses. For instance, if you're involved in a heated argument with a friend and later regret some of the things you said, you can reflect on what led to the conflict and how you could have handled it differently. By acknowledging your own role in the situation and committing to do better next time, you can grow as a person and strengthen your Stoic virtues. This approach reflects Stoic principles like self-discipline and humility as you take responsibility for your actions and strive to become a better version of yourself. In conclusion, learning from difficult interactions is an opportunity to practice and strengthen Stoic virtues like wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. By approaching challenging situations with a Stoic mindset, you can maintain your inner peace, adapt to adversity, and grow as a person. By accepting things as they are, practicing gratitude, maintaining perspective, reflecting on past experiences, and learning from them, you can become more resilient, compassionate, and virtuous in your interactions with others. This approach helps you navigate life's challenges with grace and dignity, leading to a more fulfilling and meaningful existence. 15. Let go of the outcome. Letting go of the outcome is a crucial aspect of handling difficult situations with grace and resilience. It involves doing your best to navigate the situation effectively while accepting that you cannot control the final result. By relinquishing attachment to specific outcomes, you can reduce stress, maintain your inner peace, and focus on what you can control. One of the key principles of letting go of the outcome is recognizing the limits of your control. In many situations, there are factors beyond your influence that can impact the final result. For example, if you're working on a project with a team, you can do your best to contribute and collaborate, but you cannot control how others will perform or external factors like market conditions or unforeseen challenges. By acknowledging these limitations, you can release the burden of trying to control every aspect of the situation. Instead, you can focus on what is within your control, such as your own actions, attitudes, and responses. This shift in mindset allows you to approach the situation with greater flexibility and adaptability, knowing that you have done your best and can accept whatever outcome arises. Letting go of the outcome also involves releasing attachment to specific expectations or desires. Often, we become attached to particular outcomes because we believe they will lead to our happiness or success. However, this attachment can create stress and disappointment if things don't go as planned. By letting go of attachment to specific outcomes, you can free yourself from this cycle of expectation and disappointment. For example, imagine you're applying for a job you really want. While it's natural to hope for a positive outcome, becoming overly attached to getting the job can lead to anxiety and frustration if you don't get it. Instead, you can focus on preparing thoroughly for the interview, presenting yourself in the best possible light, and being open to whatever outcome unfolds. This approach allows you to maintain your peace of mind and resilience, regardless of the final result. Letting go of the outcome also requires cultivating trust in yourself and the universe. Trust that you have the skills, resources, and resilience to handle whatever comes your way. Trust that even if things don't go according to plan, you have the ability to adapt and find new opportunities. Trust that the universe has a way of unfolding as it should, even if it's not always clear in the moment. For example, if you're facing a difficult decision, trusting in yourself means believing that you have the wisdom and intuition to make the best choice for your circumstances. Trusting in the universe means having faith that even if the outcome is not what you expected, it is part of a larger plan that will ultimately lead to your growth and evolution. Letting go of the outcome also involves surrendering to the present moment. Often, our attachment to specific outcomes is rooted in fear of the future or regret about the past. By bringing our awareness fully to the present moment, we can release this attachment and find peace in the here and now. For example, if you're feeling anxious about an upcoming presentation, you can practice mindfulness techniques like deep breathing or body scanning to bring your attention back to the present moment. By focusing on your breath or the sensations in your body, you can calm your mind and release attachment to specific outcomes, allowing yourself to approach the situation with greater clarity and composure. Letting go of the outcome also means embracing uncertainty and embracing the unknown. Life is inherently unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan or prepare, there will always be factors beyond our control. By accepting this uncertainty and embracing the unknown, we can find freedom and possibility in every moment. For example, if you're facing a major life decision, like whether to move to a new city or change careers, you can acknowledge that there are no guarantees about how things will turn out. Instead of trying to predict the future or control every detail, you can embrace the uncertainty and trust that whatever path you choose will ultimately lead to your growth and fulfillment. Letting go of the outcome also involves practicing self-compassion and forgiveness. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, things don't go as planned, and we may feel disappointed or frustrated with ourselves. By offering ourselves compassion and forgiveness, we can release attachment to specific outcomes and move forward with greater ease and grace. For example, if you make a mistake at work that results in a setback, instead of berating yourself or dwelling on what went wrong, you can acknowledge your humanity and offer yourself kindness and understanding. By treating yourself with compassion and forgiveness, you can let go of attachment to specific outcomes and focus on learning and growth. In conclusion, letting go of the outcome is an essential practice for navigating difficult situations with grace and resilience. By acknowledging the limits of your control, releasing attachment to specific expectations, cultivating trust in yourself and the universe, surrendering to the present moment, embracing uncertainty, practicing self-compassion and forgiveness, you can free yourself from stress and disappointment and focus on what truly matters, doing your best and living with integrity and authenticity. This approach allows you to approach life's challenges with greater ease and resilience, leading to a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. As we conclude this journey through the wisdom of Stoicism, I encourage you to reflect on what you've learned and how you can apply it to your own life. Remember, the power to change and grow lies within you. If you found value in this exploration of Stoic principles, I'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts, experiences, and insights in the comments below. Your feedback not only enriches our community, but also inspires others on their own journey of personal growth. And if you've made it this far, comment, "I am resilient and unstoppable," because you truly are, and together we can continue to empower each other to live with courage, wisdom, and resilience. Thank you for joining me on this transformative journey, and may your path ahead be filled with peace, strength, and purpose.